I mean, I'm capable of projecting, but I would like to have a mic work. Oh, okay, there we go. All right. Hello. Hi, people. I think we still got people coming in. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to have a working laptop today. I had a panel last night at 11 p.m. where we discovered my laptop had a broken HDMI port. So we had to very quickly on the fly find a solution, which ended up being, I'm going to turn my laptop to the audience and pray that I can remember what I put on my slides. Woo! You didn't remember. All right, so we're just going to jump right into things. So throughout the history of space, there have been 3 words that pilots have dreaded as they've been shouted in fear and panic on the battlefield. It's a Gundam! Which is quickly followed by many explosions and people dying horribly. Hi, my name is Spencer, and I'm a self-admitted Gundam nut, as you may have guessed by the gigantic Gundam face mask. I live and breathe Gundam. It's on my walls. It's on pretty much everything I can put a wallpaper on. I have an entire shelf of them at home. I've seen every single series. I own lots of imported games. I know what I'm talking about. There's my credentials, all right? Okay, so what this panel is today is that it is a general overview of Gundam, because I can't do an in-depth overview of Gundam, but we're going to talk about that in a moment. So, yes, hello everybody, welcome to It's a Gundam, or a really brief overview of 40 years worth of content in roughly an hour, because I'm a madman. So, how exactly did we get here? Mobile Suit Gundam originally aired in 1979, and it had, while it did find an audience, it wasn't a big enough audience. The sponsors said, hey, you're not bringing in the ratings, we're gonna cut your run short. So it got cut at 42 episodes. Now, thankfully, the team working on the show were able to negotiate it so they could get the story wrapped up. There's a lot of content they had to cut out, but they did manage to get the story working. However, that said, it's not that it didn't find an audience. It had a very dedicated audience, and mostly young women who started a letter writing campaign and were also making lots of fanzines at the time, as well as reading the voice actors when they would come out of the studio after recording an episode like that. And so they raised enough of a ruckus that people started hearing about Gundam through word of mouth. And people got interested, and that was when reruns started the next year in 1980. And when the reruns happened, it found a much bigger audience and became super popular, and then it got a model kit line. And the model kit line flew off the shelves, and with the success of the model kit line came the compilation movies, the Gundam trilogy as it were, and after that it pretty much became a pop culture icon and cemented itself as one of the cornerstones of the early days of anime. So why is Gundam so important anyways? Well, there's a lot of reasons. See, at the time, mecha anime were very simplistic and episodic. Here's our super cool robot, it has lots of super cool attacks, and it goes out and fights monsters every week. And that's it. Very rarely did it stray from that formula. Gundam came along and it had a very expansive world with detailed settings. It had a conflict with stakes, you know, people on both sides with their own motivations, much more grounded technology and stuff like that. And as a result, it kind of became the prototype for the real robot anime. It still had elements of its predecessors in there, here and there, but it still stood out just because it was so different. One of those big differences was its more nuanced villains in the form of the Principality of Zeon, who are the other faction in the war that fight against the Earth Federation in the show. There are various characters inside it, like Grandma Rao, who I'm wearing a t-shirt of right now. Who is a character that comes along and really messes up the worldview of the main character who was just telling himself that Zeon were all evil and that all they cared about was killing people. But Rambo Rao, he's a good man who cares about his men, has a very committed relationship with his lover, who he wasn't married to, which by the way was very scandalous at the time. It's 1979 Japan, remember. And and characters like that helped make it more popular. Another thing that made it popular was the vulnerable protagonist, my boy Amuro over there, who you can see on the poster. Amuro was not like the mecha anime protagonist that came before him. He had all sorts of feelings. He had an ego that built up a little bit because the white base depended on him. But also he got stressed out because he was really the only thing between them and certain death. He began developing PTSD when he realized he was actually killing people because he's a teenager, and he just kind of fell into the cockpit more or less. and this situation was kind of thrust upon him. And he had to kind of basically reconstruct his ego and kind of, grow up really fast as a result of being in this war. And that made him very memorable. When I mentioned the villains, who I forgot to bring up? The Red Comet, the Char Aznavour. Yeah. I don't need to talk about Char. We'd be here all day if I did. Oh yeah. So, what exactly is a Gundam? Well, to break it down for you, everybody has cars, right? But not everybody has a Honda. It's kind of the same deal here with Gundams. I drive a Honda, by the way. That's why I use it in that. I love my little boxy car. It's great. So Gundams typically are advanced prototypes, more or less, that have very strong armoring on them. And usually they have a paint job of primary colors of blue, red, yellow, and white. They're going to be there in some kind of combination. Sometimes they take out one of the colors, but it's there. They have these very distinct V-fins up on their head that you can see there, right up underneath one of the main cameras. They have these vents on the side of their head. They have that red chin there. And those are pretty much the distinctive features of what makes a Gundam. For comparison, I put the Zaku 2 next to it, the workhorse of the Zeon forces in the original series. They're basically the stormtroopers in First Gundam, more or less, and the Gundam mows through a lot of these guys. These things get destroyed in all sorts of ways. My favorite ones is when the Gundam throws the shields at them. Amuro loved that shield, let me tell you. So that's pretty much what makes a Gundam, more or less. So I have an admission to make. I'm talking about a franchise that's over 40 years old. There is too much ground to cover here. Right? I could talk about the original Universal Century trilogy of First Gundam, Zeta Gundam, and my favorite out of the three, Double Zeta. Yes, Double Zeta is good. You can fight me on that. But then if we're talking Universal Century, well, then I might as well talk about Char's Counterattack and Gundam Unicorn. And well, if I'm going there, I might as well talk about Victory Gundam and all the other OVAs. Well, at that rate, since we're talking about everything else, we might as well talk about the alternate universes as well. And you know what? I don't have the time to do that. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to do a lightning round where I do a very brief overview of all of the timelines, and we're just going to go through them like that, all right? My Gundam fans in the crowd, please don't get mad at me. I have to do a lot of generalizing to be able to explain these things in layman's terms to people who have never seen these shows, okay? I'm really sorry. I know they're a lot more intricate and deep than that, but I can't sit here and talk about the political, and I can't talk about all that. We'd be here all day. I only have an hour, all right? So, since we're already talking about Universal Century, let's talk about the Universal Century. The early Universal Century is set in the year 0079, which is also another name for First Gundam, all the way up to 0096, which is when Unicorn Gundam takes place. This is the part where I pull my notes out. No, I don't want my debit card. There we go. No, Megan. All right, okay. So the space colonies want independence from Earth, which is, and the Earth, for a lot of different reasons, does not want to give independence to the space colonies. Some of the space colonies don't like that, and so they form a military and invade the Earth. Lots of war ensues, over a lot of reasons. It's always going to be Earth versus the space war in the Universal Century. And I gotta tell you, the Universal Century, nobody actually really knows what Zeon stands for. There's a lot of people who think they know what Zeon is about, but they don't. And I could sit here and talk about Zeons and Daikun. I could talk about my girl Haman Karn, I love her by the way, and Char, and all the other schmucks who say, no, this is the real Zeon. I don't have the time for that. So the Universal Century is the first timeline that was made. It was created with First Gundam. It's the biggest one. It has the most body. It has the most amount of works in it. And it's also the timeline I have a lot of bias for. Listen, I like my alternate universes too, but Universal Century is home to me, even if it's a terrible, terrible home. Universal Century is the backbone of the franchise. There's always going to be Universal Century projects. Right now we're in what's called like Next UC, where they're making stuff set after Universal Century 100. It's like comics and movies and games and stuff like that. 3 of the 4 major Gundam statues that exist right now are actually from it. There's the one in front of the Gundam Museum in Odaiba. That's the Unicorn Gundam. There's the Walking Gundam in Yokohama, which was all over the news early last year, and people called it everything but a Gundam. It was really funny. I saw people call it like a transformer and all sorts of stuff. Some people got mad about it. I was just laughing about it. And then just recently, Fukuoka, they built one based off the new Gundam from Char's Counterattack, but instead of the fin funnels, it has a big cannon. And it makes me uncomfortable because now it's blue. And no, it's wrong. That's not the new Gundam. There's loads of side stories in the Universal Century, but the main saga early you see is First Gundam, Zeta, Double Zeta, Char's Counterattack, and Unicorn. And with that, we're going to move on to our next slide, where we talk about the late Universal Century. Surprise, we're not done yet! So, as more and more war goes on, the Federation gets more and more exhausted and slowly begins to lose more power, until it eventually just collapses, which leaves this giant power vacuum, and everybody kind of scrambling to fill it. Everybody else is left out in the cold. Things suck in the late Universal Century. Earth is getting more and more polluted from all the warfare, same for space. The population is dwindling more and more. It's a bad time in the Universal Century, especially if you're in Victory Gundam, because that's when the Zanskir Empire starts going around beheading people. True story, by the way.
It sucks to be a human on Earth.
It sucks to live in the Universal Century, is the moral of the story. More war ensues, by the way. There's lots of war. I put the poster for one of the most recent projects, the Hathaway movies. Anybody here seen the Hathaway movies? Just raise a hand. Cool. I haven't yet. I read the novels. I know where this is going. So, next we're going to get into the first timeline. You've probably heard about this one. This one's a little infamous. This is the future century. Mobile Fighter G Gundams. Woo! Yeah. People love G Gundam. So 15 years into the franchise, Tomino said, all right, I'm going to hand this off to someone else now. He's the creator, by the way. And he said, you know what would be interesting? What if there was kind of like Gundam that was like boxing? And so with that, they got a crew together, and they made Mobile Fighter G Gundam. It's set in the future century. So far off in the future, all the rich people and all the people in political power live on space colonies up on Earth. Well, all of us poor working class people live on Earth, which is just absolutely trashy. It's been ruined, basically. So instead of having wars over who controls Earth, instead, every 4 years, all the colonies send Gundams down to Earth, where Earth becomes the ring in this giant competition. And all the Gundams fight each other until there's one last standing. And whoever's last standing, that's the country that gets to rule Earth and space for the next 4 years. It's very different from what came before. It's a lot more like Dragon Ball Z. People have special attacks, people have super modes. I could sit here and recite the Shining Finger thing, but I'm not going to.
And every 4 years, post-apocalyptic Earth turns even more post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, exactly. And with each Gundam fight, Earth gets worse and worse. I love this show. Unironically, I have the Blu-ray box set of it. This is one of those shows, one of those rare anime where you can watch it with the English dub or the Japanese subtitles. They're both fantastic. Mainly because the English dub is just so cheesy. It just works. It just fits the tone perfectly. By the way, the main character is voiced by Mark Gatha, who voiced Mega Man X.
Yes.
Just a fun bit of trivia for you.
Yes.
So he's like a spine doctor now. All right, so when we talk about the Toonami generation, this is one of those shows that comes up a lot. This is New Mobile Report Gundam Wing, which is set in the After Colony era. So the space colonies send 5 Gundams down to destabilize the Earth government so space can have independence, and then shenanigans ensue. People swap sides, people question their identity, people trade mobile suits, people get into petty conflicts with each other, people act really, really, really extra. There's this really infamous clip from the show where one of the characters tosses a guy out of an airplane, and then while he's on the way down, she shoots him in the forehead just to make sure he's dead. It's that kind of show, and it's just as ridiculous as G Gundam, but the difference is it takes itself completely seriously, and it's really goofy.
Too seriously.
Yeah, this is another fun one to laugh at. I watch the movie Endless Waltz every year on Christmas Eve, because it's set at Christmas. It's about the Christmas angel coming to save everybody from a fascist takeover. This. For a little bit, Gundam Wing was really popular in the US. I don't know if it was like Dragon Ball Z or Moon Levels of big, but it was pretty popular. And for a moment, Gundam had a foothold in the United States in the early 2000s. So then Sunrise, they jumped the gun and they brought First Gundam over here. And all the kids were like, ew, old anime, I don't want to watch that. And then Gundam died. One thing I want to mention about Gundam Wing is that the soundtrack for the series was composed by Kao Otani, who is best known for his work on Shadow of the Colossus. The BGMs for the series are absolutely fantastic, and other music that's fantastic is the openings made by 2Mix, which in my opinion are some of the best anime music out there. Just Communication and Rhythm of Motion Love them. I have them on my phone. I was listening to them on the way up here.
White reflection.
The stuff from Endless Waltz is good too. All right, really, I'm gonna confess this is my favorite alternate universe Gundam. So this is After War Gundam X, which is not a post-apocalyptic Gundam series, but a post-apocalyptic Gundam series. Basically, there was a giant war in Earth, and something that happens a lot in Gundam happened. There was a colony drop, but not just one colony drop. A lot of colonies were dropped on Earth, all at once. Yes, they dropped space colonies on Earth. It happens a lot in Gundam, especially in the Universal Century. Save your questions and comments for later, please. Do not worry, I will get to you. The Earth gets sent into the 7-year nuclear winter, and then after that, everybody comes back and they start rebuilding society. However, there are some people out there who do not want to let go of old grudges, and they begin building their arms back up, and eventually an 8th space war begins happening. Caught in the middle of it is this young man named Darren, who is a vulture, who are basically mercenaries. And he gets caught up with this land ship called the Feddie, and well, now I'm just describing the show in depth, and I said I wouldn't do that, but I just love this show that much. So this is the only other Gundam anime in the entire franchise that ever had its run cut short, by no fault of its own mind. This is a really fantastic show. It was just at that point, Gundam had been airing in the same time slot for 4 years straight, and people were tired of it. It also didn't help that this is a very atypical anime. It actually takes a lot of influences from Western television. It has cold opens. It has not one, but 2 title cards. It says Gundam X at the start, and then you have the traditional title card during the anime opening. Every episode opens with a last time on. They tease what happens on the next episode during the ending credits. It's very strange in comparison to a lot of its compatriots, but only in the way the series is composed. I highly recommend you give it a chance. It's worth watching. It's extremely underrated. So let's talk about Turn A Gundam. So Turn A Gundam was made in 1999, and it was made to celebrate the 20th anniversary of Gundam. So basically, let me scroll my notes down here. People are living on Earth until a race of people who were in cryosleep on the moon wake up and they come to reclaim their ancestral homelands. Well, naturally, people have already settled on that, and some people don't take kindly to that, and war ensues, among many other things. This is a very unique show in Gundam for a lot of reasons. For its setting, you can see there's a biplane there. The technology in Turn A Gundam is more like the late 1800s, early 1900s, and they're digging up all the mobile suits from these things called mountain cycles, basically, where they go on archaeological digs and they dig up like Zaku's and stuff. And then they name them like funny French names, because they can do that. But poor John I. Yoshiyuki Tomono, the creator of Gundam, this is his favorite Gundam series. He loves Queen Diana from the moon. That's her on the left in the back. This was also the last hand-animated Gundam entry. And my God, it is absolutely gorgeous. I would dare to compare it to Studio Ghibli work. That's how beautiful it is. It's incredible. Oh my goodness. Now the reason I put the end of Gundam question mark there is because Turn A Gundam, everything before that kind of feeds into it. Here, let me put it this way. You know how like in Breath of the Wild, all the Zelda timelines kind of all exist all at once? Yeah, it's like that. So I could sit here and talk about it all day, but honestly, nothing I say will do it justice. Please watch Turn A Gundam. It is really good. Oh, also, person of color protagonist who's also kind of gender fluid. I mean, Loran is still a he/him, but like, yeah, no, trans and non-binary friends out there. I'm thinking of you. All right, let's talk about the Cosmic Era. Let's talk about Gundam Seed. Yes, we have to talk about this. Don't complain. So, all right. So in the future, test tube babies were made, and then they grew up and they had their own children, who are super babies. And all of us regular humans, we didn't take very kindly to that, so we start being super racist to them. So all the super babies and the test tube babies say, fine, screw you guys, we're gonna go build our own civilization out in space, and they make space colonies. And you know what? That's not good enough for us Earth racists, so we go and start wars. War ensues. Yeah, are you getting a sense of theme here? The TV run of Gundam Seed had very rushed animation. It looked super bad. Sunrise has wiped it off the face of the earth, among a couple of other things. Instead, the HD remasters exist, and they're very nice looking. You should check them out. This is the cash cow. Japan cannot get enough of Gundam Seed. Like, even over 20 years later after the original airing has finished, characters from the show still top popularity lists. They're still cranking out model kits for this all the time. There are new games that come out that represent like all of Gundam, and then like 2/3 of the roster will be like Gundam Seed stuff. Like instantly, recently this game called Generation Crossrays came out. And so they had units and stories from like all the different Gundam series that were alternate universes. And then like half the roster was like Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed novels and mangas. There was supposed to be a movie that was supposed to wrap everything up after the second series, Seed Destiny, but the problem is both of the project heads for the Cosmic Era died. So it's been in flux ever since then. And there was a whisper, maybe a couple years ago, it might possibly, potentially, maybe be in the works, probably. We haven't heard anything since. So, what are you gonna do? Alright, we're gonna talk about the Anno Domini timeline. Not our Anno Domini, their Anno Domini. This is the second time Gundam had a real foothold in America. It aired on the Sci-Fi Channel. Yes, believe it or not, the Sci-Fi Channel was actually good at one point. It was fairly popular. When the movie, Awakening of the Trailblazer, came out, it actually had a huge premiere in New York City. It was a big deal at the time. So in the second Gundam 00, Earth is split up into economic power blocks over resources, leaving all the third world countries out in the cold, basically. And in those countries, there are constant wars going on over resources. A secret organization called Celestial Being emerges to bring an end to all these conflicts, no matter the cost. Even more war ensues. 00 is pretty great. Honestly, like, you can't go wrong with it. If you're talking about, like, first-time Gundam, highly recommend 00. It's a good place to start. Although maybe you should check out Gundam Wing, because if you watch like any other Gundam Wing kind of appreciates and values more and more. There's a third season coming out in 2027. This series just recently celebrated its 10th anniversary. That's going to be near the 20th anniversary. They already have the whole cast and they have the sete and everything. I don't know why they just aren't going to make it. I don't get it. Alright, Advanced Generation. So, believe it or not, this one actually started off as a series of video games. And then someone said, nah, screw it, let's make an anime. We want that model kit money. In this one, alien invaders are destroying humanity's expansion into space, and one family with a super advanced computer system is our best chance of fighting back. War ensues and it ruins that family. I'm going to preface this because there are aliens in 00. They're really weird aliens, but they exist. The aliens in Gundam Age were not aliens, they're just human colonists that got banished. I'm spoiling this for you now, so that way you don't get disappointed when you watch it later. They built up the Vegans, which are the name of the invaders in the show, so like this mysterious force. Like, it's kind of played up for horror a little bit, and then it turns out they're just guys. They're just regular people. The most disappointing twist ever. I was so let down.
The real villain was man.
So, it's honestly mostly overlooked in Gundam fandom for some reason. I don't know if it's just because the animation style is a little softer than what people were used to, or what, but people don't really talk about it that much, which is a shame, because one of the best things this has going for it, it's a multi-generational story. Every story arc focuses on a different member of that family. Kind of like JoJo, if we got any JoJo fans in here. And so up there, that's the father, and then on his right, that's his son, and then on to the left, that's his younger brother, and then they all come together in the final arc. It's underrated. There's some gorgeous animation in this series, and all the music for this are absolute bangers. Like the OPs and EDs, love them. Okay, I gotta talk about the Rebuild Century now, and honestly, like talking about the Rebuild Century gives me a headache. Not because the show is bad, but because like it might be part of the Universal Century maybe, and it's possibly set after Turning Gundam. But then if it's set after Turning Gundam, then that means it's canon to all the other Gundams. But there's specifically Universal Century only stuff in this. So which one is it?
Depends on what day you ask.
It hurts my head. So, in the setting of the Rebuild Century, there's an energy cult, and people are kind of sick of it, among many other things, and war ensues. Now, the reason I say among many other things is because this is a show with like a 50-episode series plot that's crammed into 25 episodes, and as a result, it's very dense, and some people find it a bit hard to comprehend because of that. It's not that it's like, you know, truly like super deep or anything. It's just, it throws a lot at you, and you've got to keep up with it. Now, they are releasing compilation movies to fix this. The fourth and fifth ones actually just got announced. It's set like 4,000 years after the Universal Century. It's crazy. It's got a little bit more of a science fantasy aesthetic, and by the way, the Gundam in this one, the G-Self, she's adorable. I have a confession to make. The first time I saw the G-Self, I actually like squealed in delight. because of how cute and round and friend-shaped it is. We were promised a version Kentucky kit of it, and it still hasn't shown up. Listen, Bandai, if you're listening to me out there, you still got 2 more movies to go. You can still release it as a promotion. I'll totally buy it. Like, listen, there's no master grades in the G-Self. I'll put money down. I'll buy 3 of them. I'll sell an organ. I'll buy a whole stock. I'm seriously, I want a G-Self, please. All right, so we're gonna talk about post-disaster. This is probably, I think this is the other one most people probably recognize because it's the most recent one. Johnny Bosch was in the dub of this. I'm a big fan of JYD. This is the newest one. It's set mostly on Mars, which was unique because Gundam doesn't typically stray past like Earth and the space colonies there, so that kind of sets it apart a little bit. Basically, there's nightmarish child labor in space and a proletariat uprising ensues. Guys, we gotta defeat the bourgeoisie, okay? All right? Screw the 1%, eat the rich. It doesn't go very well. This series is a tragedy that plays out in slow motion. It's like a train wreck. You know what's happening, and you know everybody's gonna die horrendously, but you can't help but keep watching. Also, in the backstory of the show, there was like this robot apocalypse, and they built a whole army of Gundams to fight them, but that doesn't matter. Where's that show, Sunrise? Why aren't you animating that?
Mobile game.
So, in interest, another thing that sets us apart from all the other Gundam settings is that in this setting, eventually, they just had like good defenses against beam technology. So, nobody has beam rifles or beam sabers like your traditional Gundam series. Instead, everybody uses bullets and like melee weapons. So that's why the Barbados has a big stick it box people with. Also, nobody in this series wears shirts because they have these things that have been fused into their spines through painful surgery that basically forced, like,
childhood.
It's actually genuinely horrific. Also, this is like the dirtiest, grimiest Gundam series ever. The opening is literally called Rage of Dust, in case you need to know how dirty the show is. Alright, and last but certainly not least is the build timeline. I had to bring this up. Alright, so you guys know how, like, in Yu-Gi-Oh!, everybody solves their problems with, like, children's card games? Well, in the setting of Build Fighters, instead, everybody solves their problems with their Gundam model kits. There's this arcade game that you put your Gundam kits in, and then they come to life, and you can make them fly around and shoot each other. It's a lot of fun. And what's also great about this setting, everybody magically has money to buy Gundam model kits all the time. Gundam is all everybody talks about, and I want to live there. Eventually, there is an online game where you can scan your Gundams in, and then you can get in your Gundams and fly them around. You can cosplay as Gundam characters, or you can be a furry. I'm not going to judge. And it basically becomes .hack, but with Gundams. I want to live in this timeline. I want to always have money for model kits. Are you kidding me? That's great. I love it.
Amen, brother.
So, all right. So that's it for the timeline. See, we got through that pretty quickly. That wasn't so bad. All right, so now I'm going to open it up to Q&A. If you have comments, if you want to hear my opinions about stuff I didn't touch upon here, you can have them. Also, I'm not saying I have a bias against, well, actually, I already admitted I have a Universal Century bias, so that's why I put a giant Universal Century mural here. Okay, all right, up front, in the wheelchair.
What's your thoughts on SD Gundam and the Saki Hour?
Like, are you talking about, like, Gundam Force?
Yes.
Okay, listen, so I like the SD Gundam franchise, I love the OVAs, I can't stand Gundam Force, I'm sorry. The CG's bad, the dub's bad, I just like, they tried to make Gundam appeal to kids. Guys, that's not gonna work. Okay, alright.
They're gonna make Gundam a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah, it was a Saturday morning cartoon, it wasn't super great. Okay, alright, I have a question for you guys. If you have like something you can hold up that makes it easier for you to pick you out, so I don't have to call you like Retro or whatever, so like, yeah, like that guy back there with his umbrella. So if you got like a prop or something you bought in the vendor's hall, hold that up so I can pick you out easier. Yeah, you with the Feddie Scum card over there.
G Gundam. Favorite Gundam or most of the Gundam? What are your thoughts?
Yes. Alright, you over there with Mountain Dew.
So, what's your opinion on the Road to Gundam battle with Baymax?
Rosa. Oh yeah, they're trying to make it real. My thoughts are, bring it over here, damn it. All right, anybody else? Come on. Okay. Oh, we've got lots of people. All right, we're gonna go over here. You with the real grade.
Who's your favorite shark clone?
My favorite shark clone. Oh, that's a good question. Oh, there's so many to pick from. I'll tell you my least favorite one is, oh, what's his face? He wears the Cloth Faith mask in Victory Gundam. I think he's a total loser. Yeah, huh? Yeah, Chronicle Asher. Yeah, I can't stand him. He's a dumbass. My favorite Char clone is my boy Graham Acre. Woo! Listen, so this guy tries to fight Gundams when his mobile suit cannot keep up, and he like pushes the mobile suit to go to G's that he legitimately can't handle. Like the blood vessels in his nose like burst open because he's going so fast. Dude's hardcore, all right. And he finally gets a Gundam. Well, later on, he actually joins Celestial Being in the 3rd season. That's supposed to happen. He also becomes an ELS hybrid. They did it in, well, they call it an audio drama, but really they just call it voice actors lined up. And so they had them call out their launch phrases, and Graham called his the Graham Gundam, even though it's the X-Zero Repair 4. And I love that. All right, you over there, holding up your cell phone.
Do you have any fun speculation about Witch of Mercury?
I really, really hope it has a female protagonist. We need more of those in Gundam. We really, really do. We have Christina, but 080 is really more about Bernie and Albert. So I really hope Witch of Mercury is about a woman, and I hope she's a boss-ass bitch. Hashtag gatekeep girl boss. All right, okay. We're gonna get some people over in the back. You over there with the cane? What's up?
Which would you prefer, Iron-Blooded Orphan or Gundam Wing?
Gundam Wing. I'm sorry, but IBL is painfully mediocre. At least in Gundam Wing, I can revel in the cheesiness of it. I really only think the first season of IBO is any good. I think the second season is just a disaster. All right, back there with the umbrella.
Speaking of Gundam Wing, how you feel about every scene with Peacecraft in it? Just any scene.
Like every scene like involving Roland and Peacecraft.
Yeah.
She always stares. She always has like this distant stare on her face, like I kicked her dog.
Yeah, like the,
And,
all the crazy stuff, like with the nose.
Listen. I want to give her this. She has balls. She walks up into like a conference where like the enemy is there, and she just straight out pulled a pistol out on one of them. And I was like, "Yo, you get it, girl! Oh my god!" I don't think the Saint Kingdom is a really good concept in general, just because it's just absurd. It doesn't really work in Gundam. So yeah. Over there with the red tubey thing. Fire hydrant, dude. Listen, I'm going nearsighted. I can't tell. Okay.
So, my introduction to Gundam was actually pretty weird. There's a PS2 game that I found at a yard sale called Mobile Suit Saga.
MS Saga,
Yes, MS Saga. That's
Get
an
it.
awesome RPG. Yeah, no, a lot of PS2 Gundam games are great.
I want more.
right?
Listen,
We all want more.
play the Gundam Breaker games. You can make more horrible Frankenstein Gundams in those. Specifically, get Gundam Breaker 3. New Gundam Breaker sucks. All right, you over there with what's that green and blue thing? Is that a Tomsk from Fully Cooley?
Yeah.
Awesome.
If you had an idea for a storyline for Gundam, what would it be?
I'm not gonna bring my fan fiction on, okay? I mean, I have some, but I don't have the time to share it with you guys, all right?
He has a podcast for that.
TLDR, what it is so I really love the G Generation games, and specifically Overworld. Basically, all the timelines are bleeding together and stuff is happening simultaneously, so you get crazy stuff like Domo and Master Asia fighting the Devil Army in Hong Kong, then immediately afterwards, Garrett shows up with the Gundam X and uses the satellite cannon for the first time. And so basically, I just kind of wrote a thing about a character who's putting a team together to go into the work generation system and fix everything. He's actually like an aspect of the generation system and all that. But that's for me and me alone. So, all right, Inuyasha over there. What's up, dude?
Thank you, man. No, technically, this is a two-parter. First of all, which you think would be the better weapon system of the two? The mobile trace system from G Gundam, or the Minovsky system that vaporizes you and extinguishes on the staff?
All right. Well, first off, I'm gonna correct you there. The Minovsky system, that is the power source for mobile universities.
Well, I forget the exact term. You know what?
My problem, well, I do like the one-to-one controls of the mobile trace system. There are a lot of drawbacks to it. So first and foremost, you actually have to be like strong and able-bodied. There's this episode where this kid gets into the God Gundam, and then like he nearly gets his spine snapped from like stuff that goes over Domon. By the way, Domon is dummy thick. I mean, listen, I love that they specifically put a shot in there of his butt for the ladies every time he suits up. It's great. And you know what? The guys get some too, because there's like 2 instances where Rain pilots the Shining Gundams, and the audio sure is something. Both in the English and Japanese stuff. And that's all they'll say about
Which you think
EG
is the
panel.
better weapon system, and who do you think would win against Domo versus Umbra?
Okay, look. we can't. All right. So whenever we have power level arguments in the Gundam fandom, there's things we automatically have to exclude. We have to exclude the unicorn. We have to exclude the turn A. We have to exclude the God Gundam. Okay, those are all busted in their own ways. The God Gundam explodes things by touching them. All right. The unicorn Gundam, at its full power, when like its cycle frame is like crystallizing and stuff, can just wave its hand and immediately disassemble things. And then the turning Gundam has the Moonlight Butterfly, which literally turns all technology to dust and is what reset history over and over and over again. Literally sent mankind back to the Stone Age, like at least 8 different times, if you believe turning Gundam. So, yeah. My answer is I'm not going to answer. Back there with the long hair on the phone.
Yeah. Describe Zeta Gundam battle.
It makes me sad and I don't like it. Legitimately, I prefer Double Zeta. Like, here's the thing. I admire Zeta Gundam for what it did for the franchise. I admire the artistry of it. I can't stand it. It's absolutely miserable. Everybody is always getting into pissing matches with each other. Everybody's constantly dying. And listen, I get it. It's a war story. People die. But I need some ounce of hope. Berserk is happier than Zeta Gundam.
Wow.
Oh.
So, you, with the poster, you've had your hand up for a while.
Is Camille a girl's name?
How dare you? I need you to know that Camille is a man's name and he is a man! Yeah, you over there. I love Stardust Memory. Fantastic animation. It's really good up until it trips at the finish line with the love triangle stuff.
Nina Purpleton sucks.
Yeah, Nina Purpleton is legitimately one of the worst people in the Universal Century. She didn't even commit genocide. That's what's funny about that. She is. She sure is. All right, over there with the stuffy. Hey, nice Appa cosplay. I bet you're a really nice person. I know her. That's why.
You got a question or?
Who's on first?
All right, so Sunrise has said at least once that the only things that are set in stone canon is what has been animated, excluding video games.
Oh boy.
This creates continuity errors. So what's your take on that?
Boy. All right. Okay. So here's the thing. The Japanese don't give a shit about continuity. Right? They make things and then that's it. They're not like us Americans who are really weird, where we say no, this is canon, this isn't. They make things and then that's it. So here's my view on Gundam canon. Whatever you like is canon, all right? Except Crossbone. Crossbone's not canon. You gotta deal with it. You over there, super flat. Yeah, you, with the ball.
All right, what's your thoughts
I'm
on
talking to you, buddy.
What's your thoughts on Gundam Thunderbolt?
Oh, see, we were just talking about continuity, and now we're talking about this. Oh my goodness. Okay, so sorry, I was just checking.
That's on more.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Lock and load.
See, it's a good thing I can project my voice. So, all right. Here's the thing. I think the anime can fit into the Universal Century quite fine. You just have to remember that these are war stories, and everybody's memories of war are different, and the details are never correct. Now, the manga is absolutely not canon. They just pulled the Mark II out in like 0080. Are you kidding me? That doesn't, in the main canon, that doesn't happen for like another 6 or 7 years, bro. What the heck? Next thing you know, they're gonna have like, they're gonna have like the new Gundam's gonna show up, and it's gonna be like 0081. You over there with the shield backpack, I like that. Can I have that?
How do you feel about, I know my favorite series is F91. How do you feel about F91 as like?
Okay, so I actually like the movie F91. It is admittedly a mess just because they spun their wheels way too long on the production of that, and you can see it. There's literally a part in the movie where just the dialogue cuts out, they just play music over it, and you're like, what, did they not finish it? Yeah, no, I like F91. I think it's a nice standalone story, and it's kind of one of my problems with Crossbone is I feel like you didn't really need to do much after that. Also, just because the writing in Crossbone is just absolutely atrocious. And a lot of the designs are really ugly, and they make me want to vomit. So, except for the Crossbone Gundams, those are fantastic. And I think we can all agree there's a massive circle jerk around them for a reason. All right, okay, you over there was the Feddie Scum card again. Really, hey, shout out to my boys at Dead Set Media. they have this podcast called Feddie Scum, where it's an actual play podcast where they play through the events of the 1 year war in First Gundam. It has over 80 episodes, and it's ended. Its first season is ending very soon. You know what? Maybe I might appear in the second season. So if you like me for some godforsaken reason, you want to hear more of me, you should check it out. I say maybe. I'm not going to put words in my buddy Adam's mouth. All right. Anyways, okay. Sorry. Now that I'm done shamelessly plugging. Yeah, shameless plug. Okay. All right. You guys can put your hands back up now. All right. Okay. Anyways, yes, with the face Scum card.
8th MS team. What are your thoughts?
Gundam in Vietnam is a lot of fun. I know people have issues with it. I mean, admittedly, it's not perfect. But you can certainly do worse. I usually show it to people to introduce them to the Universal Century because it's a nice self-contained story. And it's got Nobuyuki Hiyama. And I love Nobuyuki Hiyama. So, you back there, what do you think? Well, actually...
We don't talk about G Savior.
Well, actually, I'm going to go back here because... Hang on. Sorry, it takes a little bit for Open Office to load these slides because I crammed so many images into them. You need to take a look towards the top of the screen there, buddy.
Too far. There you go.
I put that in as a joke. All right, so actually, my actual opinion on G-Savior. I think it's okay. It's certainly not good, but it's not the trash fire people make it out to be. I think it's mostly inoffensive. Is the CG bad? Oh, yes, absolutely. Is it a weird story? Without a doubt. But if you look at it on paper, it makes sense. It's 200 years into the Universal Century. Food's starting to run out. We gotta figure out ways to make new food. Oh, you have the miracle solution? Too bad, it's ours now. And then they fight over that. That makes sense. I like the idea of Mark Curran as a character. There aren't many Gundam protagonists who start the story out with prior military experience. He's kind of a rare kind because of that. I really wish the novel was translated. I wish the audio dramas that went with it were translated. The PS2 game related to it is fantastic. It's just the problem with G-Savior was part of this massive multimedia campaign. We only got one part of it. By the way, did you know they have props from Starship Troopers in that movie?
Yes. Blatantly obvious.
All right, you back there in the lab coat. Why are you looking back? I'm talking to you. Whatever. Well, it looks like a lab coat from here.
Red Comet or tall geese?
The answer is Johnny Ridden.
Right? Crimson Lightning!
Who else got questions? Mr. Rifleman, you've had your hand up for a bit.
All right, so calling back to poor CGI, Gundam Igloo. What's your thoughts?
Okay, so I know the CGI hasn't aged super well, especially in regards to like the actual characters. Igloo is fantastic. The writing is incredible. And you get to see lots of really cool variations. What's the name of that kind of tank thing? Yeah, the Hildoffer. I love that thing. I can't get enough of it. Oh my god. Yeah, no, check out MS Igloo. They made traditional art style designs for them in the G Generation games. The characters look fantastic in that. Up front.
Favorite male character, favorite female character, favorite Gundam.
Alright, okay. So I'm going to split this into Universal Century and Alternate Universe. Alright? So I'm really loud about my love of Gundam Double Zeta, okay? I have a Gundam Double Zeta case on my phone. Both my lock screen and my home screen are Double Zeta. My entire Twitter profile is themed after Double Zeta, and also Sailor Jupiter.
Man of Pain.
My favorite male character in the Universal Century is Judao Ashta, because he said, no, screw your wars, screw you adults, I'm going to protect my friends, I'm going to get rid of all this stupid nonsense, and then I'm getting out of here. Screw you! And then he did. And he was better off for it. He's one of the rare Universal Century protagonists with a happy ending. Now, if we're talking about my favorite female characters, are we asking actually I genuinely like their writing, or who do I send for the most?
Yes.
Come on, Karn!
Yeah.
Listen, I want her to step on me. I want her to look at me. I want her to look down on me like I'm the scum of the earth. I want her to spit on me. Legitimately, if she dismissed me, I'd be happy, all right? Yes, no, I love her. She's, if you want to talk about Gaslight Geeky Girl Boss, she's the Universal Century icon, baby. Now, if we're talking about favorite Gundam, shock of all shocks, my favorite Universal Century Gundam is the Double Zeta. Yes, its combination is dumb. Yes, its frame is bad. Yes, its energy inefficient. I don't care. She's big, and she's beefy, and I love her. Now, alternate universe-wise, I love my boy Garrett Rand, all right? This is a guy that can hijack a mobile suit with a flashbang and a pistol, okay? He has an adorable love story with the female lead of his show, and it's just, all right. Now, if we're talking about alternate universe female characters, that's kind of a tough question. It's not that I don't like the alternate universes. I don't, like I said, I have a universal entry bias, and I only really think about alternate universes when I'm talking to them. Well, mainly when I'm showing Gundam X, is what I meant to say. Please watch Gundam X, please. It'll make me happy if you do. There's only like 7 of us in the Western fandom. Can't need more people to talk to. So, I guess, I'll say, sure, why not? Soma Perrier from 00. She's good. I like her. Now, if we're talking about favorite alternate universe Gundam, it's the XX. All the way, baby. All right, I'm sure all those answers were very surprising. So there you go. Also, I love your hair and the big bow thing. That's cute. That's great. I love it. All right, poster man up there. You had your hand up for a while again.
Favorite Char Asimov mobile suit?
Oh,
Favorite Char mobile suit? Ooh, okay, now that's another interesting conversation. All right, I'm gonna go with the MSV one. Full armor Hyakushiki Kai.
Yes.
It was in Super Robot Wars 30 for a reason, baby. Well, I think it was just the Kai, right?
No, it's full armor.
It was the full armor? Yeah, no, listen. Solid gold, baby.
Yes.
Solid gold. All right, fire hydrant over there.
What level of like space magic shenanigans do you accept in your Gundam?
Yes. I know there are people who get their panties in a twist about new type space magic. Listen, man, you just gotta accept it, all right? Now, I know Tomino, especially of all people, regrets it. He actually legitimately wishes he had never, like, introduced the term new type at all and had just left it kind of ambiguous. New types are very essential to Gundam, whether you like it or not, because it's talking about the potential for people to change, and it's a big metaphor for that. And besides, we get fun stuff like fin funnels and the unicorn waving its hand and disassembling mobile suits, and what's not to love about that?
Not to mention seeing your enemy's weak points without trying is that...
Also being just super good at everything. I mean, you could also be a coordinator and do that. Super babies, remember, you dance in space. So my short answer, yes. My long answer, yes.
Yeah.
All right, Umbrella Man.
Speaking of new types, how you feel about Federation versus Xeon, the game?
Yeah.
The game?
Yeah.
I actually haven't played that one yet.
Wow.
You'll get the beep.
Believe I am just one man, people. I can only consume so much media at once, all right?
You'll get the beeping in your dreams.
So, Inuyasha, what's up, dude?
Your top favorite Gundams in G Gundam and your top favorite characters in G Gundam.
The answer is George Desant.
Yes.
Yes! Okay? I love my red-haired Frenchman. He is just so handsome. I want to make out with him. He's delicious. All right? Like, genuinely, he can, like, steal me away, like, Rosa Versailles style, with all the sparkles and the rose petals and everything. Like, I love him. He's great. All right, over there, what is that in your hand? Powerade. All right, sorry. Again, I've become nearsighted and I haven't been to the doctor yet, so... I drive like a lot and I go on road trips. I'm a hazard to society.
So, newly getting into Gundam, watch order.
Okay, alright, so my opinion is there's 2 routes you can go if you're getting into Gundam for the first time. Pick an alternate universe that appeals to you and check that out. And if you're starting with the Universal's entry, you can either just go balls deep and just go from the beginning. If you're not sure about the Universal Century, I say watch Away the Mess Team, because again, it's a nice, self-contained story. You basically get the gist of the 1-year war with it. There is some ridiculous nonsense in it, yes, but there's always ridiculous nonsense in Gundam. That's just how it works. My opinion is actually production order. I know some people will tell you chronological order, but I say production order because every work builds off the work that was before it. Like, for instance, after War Gundam X was a direct response to, like, the argument of like what new types are and stuff like that. That's kind of a big theme of that. And so check out the Universal Century production order. That's what I say. I mean, if you just want to watch just the main UC Saga, First Gundam, Zeta, Double Zeta, Unicorn, and Charge Counterattack. No, do not skip Double Zeta. I will murder you if you do. You actually genuinely need to watch Double Zeta to have context for stuff in Unicorn. All right, up front. Okay, so I like the manga a lot. I think Yasu's take on it is interesting. I'm not sure if I'm super big on some of his characterization, but his artwork is fantastic. You can read the entire manga for free in color on Comic Walker, by the way. So if you want to check out the One Year War from like another angle, check it out, dude. It's drawn by Yasuhiko. He was the character designer in the original series, and he does this really gorgeous like watercolor painting. All his artwork is fantastic. Man loves thighs, by the way. If you're a thigh person, you're gonna be eating good when you read the work. Now, if we're talking about the OVAs, which are based off the bonus chapters from the manga, the way I look at that is Char's sitting in a bar, okay? Actually, I'll tell you the exact moment this is happening. This is when Char's at the bar, he's staring into his glass. He's like, fuck, I killed my boyfriend. And, or maybe his sex toy, I don't know. There was something going on between him and Garma. Goss definitely wants you to think so. I lost my train of thought. Basically, he's hyping up all of his achievements to somebody that's sitting next to him, and he's like, no, you totally gotta believe me. I blew up like a bajillion chips at the Battle of Loom, dude. I'm super cool. So yeah, I think Char's a giant loser, by the way. So, alright, Toph over there.
Okay. Not counting Nina Purpleton from 083 or Mimi from G Savior, what do you think is the worst and the best romance in Gundam?
The worst romance in Gundam is Quattro Pagina and
Rekoa.
And Rekoa. All right, listen. All he had to do was dick her down. It would solve so many problems. But he just wouldn't go for it. Now, admittedly, Sorako did use some new type, mind wipe, mind trick bullshit to get her to come to him. But listen, it wouldn't have worked if there wasn't anything to go off of, is all I'm saying. Again, it would have saved the AU so much headache if he just laid some pipe. He's got some. Look at him. All the way in the back over there.
So, not your favorite, but if you had to just objectively pick the best written story of any Gundam series, what would it be and why is it the original Gundam Wing?
You're trolling me. Gundam Wing is an interesting case study of what not to do when you're writing a story. Part of the problem with Gundam Wing is it has 5 protagonists, and out of those protagonists, maybe like 2 of them are actually interesting. There's one who's kinda interesting. The main reason you watch Gundam Wing is for Quattro and Duo. Okay, they are the best characters in the show, genuinely. Hero is about as deep as a slice of cardboard. Troa has some identity issues, and Wu Fei, nobody cares about Wu Fei. Come on.
About his Gundam, yes. His him, no.
Yeah, no, I like his Gundams better than I like him. Now, if we're talking about actually what I think genuinely is one of the best written stories in Gundam, I have a couple. One, I love Gundam X because I think in terms of like writing its characters and expanding them and stuff like that, it's genuinely good because the show is actually about 3 people. It's about Garrett, it's about Tifa, it's also about Jamil Meat. And it's about how these 3 people affect each other and the people around them. And while the ending does feel kind of rushed because it had its run cut short, I think they wrap it up pretty well, personally. Again, please watch Gundam X. Especially the Blu-rays. Oh my god, the remaster is absolutely gorgeous. Holy shit. Alright, fire extinguisher over there again.
Do you have a favorite underrated Gundam? Mine is
Gundam X, moving on.
Do you have a favorite kit?
Favorite kit? Actually, yes, I do. So, the high-grade Kamiki Burning Gundam is a kit that I picked up because everybody was just praising it wildly. And so, I will say this, Build Fighters Try is absolutely atrocious. It ruined everything that made Build Fighters good, and it turned into not only a generic like battle shonen, but also a sports shonen and a harem anime, which is something Gundam had never stooped to before. And it had the idea that the only kind of fan service out there is big boobs, and listen, I like boobs, okay? Alright? Who doesn't? But this is Gundam. Build Fighters had some incredible fan service in terms of like tributes to previous works, and references, and all sorts of stuff. Like, Build Fighters is good on its own, but if you know about Gundam, it gets even better. Because there are so many little hidden Easter eggs that are in there just for us. Because they put so much love into Build Fighters. Like, genuinely, it has no right to be as good as it is. But I like the Kamiki Burning Gundam because its articulation is absolutely insane. I I kept it at my desk when I was studying in Orlando, and anytime I was just bored from like doing homework or anything like that, I just picked it up and started fiddling with it. I usually kept it in like an Ultraman Rise pose because I'm a nerd. But yeah, check that out. It's if you haven't. I mean, really, most of the Build Fighters kits are great, but especially the Beekeeper Gundam. Shield backpack over there.
I got 2 questions.
Okay.
First one, dreams or resolution?
Dreams or resolution? Oh, now we're talking here. All right, so, this is a tough pick for me. For context, those were both the openings of Gundam X. They were made by this group called Romantic Mode. They're almost as good as 2Mix, but not quite. I love them, but listen, 2Mix is the GOAT, okay? Unless you're TM Network, then you win. Beyond the Time, baby. And also get Wild and Tough, but that's City Hunter. You're asking me to pick between 2 of my children, basically, is what you're doing. And, Dreams. I'm gonna go with Dreams. First OP always wins. That's always a safe choice. Resolution's good, mine. But Dreams. Which is funny, because I usually use Resolution as BGM for Double X Gundam in video games, so. Alright, Rifleman.
Alright, last question for me, promise. The exam system or the Hades system?
Ooh.
I like it's not the Hades system, it's the Hades, because system is part of the acronym.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to say the Hades, because I prefer the side story it's from more.
Fair enough.
I know people I know people love the Blue Destiny. She's a fine lady. But if we're talking about mobile suits that indiscriminately kill because that's what they were made to do, Pale Rider all the way, baby. I actually have the high-grade Pale Rider ground type equipment. That was from the Gunpla Expo in 2010. It has this really nice candy finish to it, so it's got this kind of shiny, like cobalt blue finish. It's really gorgeous. All right, up front. Oh, yeah, I didn't even bring that up. Oh my God, I forget the name of the composer. Yoko Kanno did the soundtrack for Turn 8 Gundam. If that's not another reason for you to watch it, you know, you may know her from stuff like Cowboy Bebop and I'm trying to think of it's the D&D anime. Deedlit's from it. Yeah, Lodos War. She also did the score for Lodos War. Legendary composer. Her work on Turn 8 Gundam is incredible. The Dark History theme is my favorite because, let me tell you, if there was ever a BGM that like fills me with terror and like makes me want to darken my pants, it's that. Every time I play a video game and I see the Turn 8 Gundam icon, the Turn 8 flash across the screen and that start playing, I start freaking the frick out, dude. Oh my God, I streamed G-Generation Overworld for my friends. And the Dark History Turn 8 Gundam showed up, and that started playing. I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, because I was gonna get absolutely murdered. But turns out my units were over leveled and I stopped it, and it just completely ruined it. Funny how things work like that. But yeah, no, Yoko Kanno is fantastic. Listen, guys, watch Gundam X and then watch Turn 8, okay? I'm not trying to force anything on you, but I'm forcing Gundam X and Turn 8 on you. Phone, over there.
Where are they going to animate the Hydra Gundam?
Oh.
The what?
Hydra Gundam, G-Unit.
Oh, G-Unit, Last Outpost.
Battle Assault 2.
It'll happen when Crossbone gets animated, which is never. Just accept it, people. It's not going to happen. All right. What'd you say? No, I'm being dead serious. Now, see, I like G-Unit, even if it's really goofy. There's this custom Leo that has like a cloth cape, like an actual cloth cape in space. There's a custom unit that has hair, and like outside of G Gundam, where I would be okay with that because it's G Gundam. There's a horse Gundam in G Gundam, like
Windmill Gundam.
so yeah. Yeah, the Windmill Gundam. Shout out to my boy Hurricane Gundam, who literally just got to the finals of the Gundam fight by just transforming into Windmill and sitting there. Love it. Back there with the model kit. My favorite non-anime Gundam? So it's actually technically not a Gundam. It's the Lacine from A Cold to Seal. Yeah, A Cold to Seal. It's a manga. It's by Haruhiko Mikimoto, best known for his work on Macross and Orgus and stuff. Macross Zero started production right as he was nearing the end of that, and then he never came back to it. And I will always be sad about that forever because that manga is incredible. Yeah, no, Lacine is, she's a gorgeous lady. I say Lacine because her name's in French. It means the swan. And she's a very atypical mobile suit. Also, fun fact, Asuna Elmerette is a new type on par with Camille in terms of power. She is an A grade new type, just like him. All right. What time is it? What time is it? Okay, we got 3 minutes. All right, lightning round questions, go. Anybody? Lightning round questions? Over there.
How do you feel about Emma Gotham
He's an idiot. Really sexy though.
Alright,
Up there. No.
Can MS Saga and Turn A exist together?
I mean, there's artwork that like has them together because they have the same character designer, but the answer's no. Over there, what's the power rating?
So, God Gundam versus Gal Guy.
Why would you make me choose? Yeah, see? You learned your lesson last night. Green is the most powerful color in mecha anime. And also, Gal Gaigar has 3 Gs and God Gundam has 2, therefore he wins. Alright, okay, I have time for like a couple more quick questions. We got 2 minutes left. Up front. Yeah. The music of the original Gundam series? Like, are you asking about like why it's not in the dubs or like? Oh yeah, no, dude, I love the OST for First Gundam. It's funky as heck. It's great. Yeah, it's perfectly 70s, and that's why I love it. Yeah, no, Gallant Char is one of the best battle themes of all time, just because it's got this funky disco rhythm to it. Also, shout out to Meguri from the 3rd Gundam movie.
Yes.
Okay, I got time. Let's go one more question, then I gotta pack up and get out of here. All right, over there.
Is there a place where we can follow you?
If for some godforsaken reason you want to hear more of my opinions, you can find me on Twitter at Shoka Mechadork, or just by searching the Jumpy Boy. I'm the guy with the avatar of Judal Ashta dressed as Sailor Jupiter. And then my banner is Sailor Jupiter dressed as Judal Ashta.
There you go.
Man of taste, I see.
Yes. Yeah, my brand is consistent. So, all right, everybody, thank you for coming to my panel. It was a lot of fun. I hope you learned something.